Everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Tears of Truth. It's the first of many mini series that I'll be doing in 2020. Yesterday we spoke about we were talking about how crying gets such a bad rap. And I thought it was time for it to get a makeover because, crying is such an important process, in terms of living a healthy and happy life. Now, yesterday we talked about some of the judgments that people make on crying and how that can affect your own view on crying and the tears that flow from us. And then the other thing we talked about yesterday was the benefits, because there are so many benefits. Now, I only went through about 5 of them yesterday, 5 or 6 of them, but there's stacks, absolutely stacks. So I'm going to have a post coming out on that on my new website soon, so I'll let you know. But today, on the Tears of Truth, I actually want to talk about the difference between being emotional and being heartfelt, because too often there's a judgment that flows from people's mouths saying, when they see someone crying or, tears are rolling down their face, they make this judgment that someone is being overly emotional. Now, what is being emotional? Now, I've said many, many times, and I'm going to say it many more times, that emotions are just energy and motion. So that by their very nature, they're meant to move, and tears are just an expression of movement. They are a form of movement, and they are a form of a release, and they are a form of cleansing, and they help us to release our emotions and to help us harmonize our energy body. So, it's the whole process of allowing tears to fall or for crying is really, really important to the actual health of you, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. And it is one of the key ways that we release emotion and that we release stress. So when someone casts that judgment, oh, you're being emotional, or, that's, you wear your heart on the sleeve, or things like that. I have a saying that the words that people say more about them than you. Why do people make judgments on crying? Why do they view it as weak or unbalanced or unstable or things like that? They say those comments because they're actually uncomfortable with crying. They're uncomfortable. People find themselves in discomfort when emotions are demonstrated or expressed, and that's really, really sad. And that's something that I really love to help people with, is for everyone to get comfortable with expressing their emotions and being around people that express and feel their emotions. Because I tell you, if you want to live with full potency and if you want to live your full potential, then man, you got to feel. Life was meant to be felt. We don't want to dumb down our feelings or our emotions. They give us contrast. They give us information. They create the vibrancy with which we experience life. And experiencing life is the only way that we can uncover and discover our own truth, what it is that brings us joy, what makes us realize the love that we are, what allows us to get caught up in what I call the power of wow, the power of wonderment, to be able to go out and create and do the things you do, in a relationship, loving freely and openly, or, being creative and innovative at work, all those sorts of things. They all take passion and purpose, and they all come with a whole carload or truckload of emotions. And you want to feel them, because guess what? They actually power you up. They're really, really important, and they're also very important navigational tools. So back to being, viewed as too emotional. I mean, what is too emotional? When we are run by our emotions, when we feel that we're swept up in a sea of emotions, and we feel that we don't have any control, and we don't have that ability to even engage basic impulse control, which is, the ABC method, the aware, breathe, count, and then choose, method that I've talked about before. So when we are swept up in a sea of emotion and we feel that our emotions are controlling us, then we are in a very emotional state. And yes, we are being emotional. But guess what? What is that? That's actually a release. And that happens usually when you are experiencing something really significant. So, you know, when I separated from my partner of 21 years, I found myself on planes, trains, and buses crying for no reason whatsoever. I just had so much emotion within me that needed to be expressed and to get out. And initially I judged that as being bad and being, you know, broken and unstable. But really, it's just a cleansing process. That sort of emotion, energy and motion has to go through you. The anger, the frustration, the disappointment, the heartbreak, all of that has to flow like a river. And if it doesn't, it just builds up like a bloody dam, and it keeps coming and coming and coming until it overflows or the dam busts. So it's really, really important to not judge those intense periods of emotion. They can be like emotional tsunamis sometimes, where you feel like you've picked up and lifted up and carried away by a torrid tide. But the thing to do is to not judge, to allow it. You have to feel it to free it. And you just need to allow it to be expressed, because the emotions are energy in motion. They have to move through you. If you try and stifle them, if you try and shut them down, if you try and ignore them, they're just going to get bigger and louder and closer to you, you know, until such time as that you just have an absolute meltdown. And because they've got to come out, they have to move. Energy has to move. So being emotional, first of all, I want you not to judge it. Secondly, I want you to actually reframe it and go, when you are being captivated and swept up in the sea of emotion, it's not so much about being emotional. It's an emotional cleansing. It's an emotional passing. It's the river of your emotions moving through you. You need to allow them to move and flow. So that's really, really, really important. Now, over time, you want to be able to take back control, because it's important. You have control. You always have choice, and you always have control over two things: your thoughts and your feelings. Now, sometimes that may not feel like the case, and sometimes you do get run by them. But that control is always there. That choice, that free will choice, is always there. You just need to know how to do it and how to reclaim that. And an easy first step on doing that is the ABC method. So it's all about becoming aware. It's all about breathing. And then it's about counting. Because remember, I told you that emotions are initially spiked by endorphins and chemicals being released, and that they come into your body, and then your body will naturally flush them within anywhere between sort of 10 and 90 seconds. And so it's really important for you to count so that you can actually gather evidence that they are temporary. It's just a passing stage, because they are energy in motion, and so they pass through us. So it's really important. You do have choice. So allow yourself to be emotional, and then maybe if it's not a big deal, or if it's something, you know, that's not absolutely life-changing, maybe you give yourself a period of time and then say, you know what, okay, I've expressed all of that emotion. It's now time to let go of the story that I have attached to the emotion, you know, about how I'm being rejected, or I've been passed over at work, or I'm not good enough. It's time to release that story, because that's what holds you in an emotional state. So, being emotional, expressing your emotions, let's change it. Let's reframe the language. Let's say, instead of being emotional, we're actually expressing our emotions. Now, for a lot of people, it's not. It's actually important to reframe that further to the fact that you are actually being heartfelt, and you're being authentic in that moment about what you are feeling. And there is nothing wrong with that. In fact, I say bravo. I think it's really important to be heartfelt, because when you are heartfelt, you are right smack in the middle of being authentic. That's you. You're bearing your heart, you're bearing your soul. You are stepping into vulnerability. You're being brave. You're showing who you truly are. Okay. And, that should be applauded, and it shouldn't be judged as being emotional. And so I think what happens is, we have experiences, we cry, we allow the tears to wash away, and we worry about the judgments that people are going to make. And really what we're doing is we're showing we are being heartfelt. Well, newsflash, guess what? Being heartfelt is being a real human. And I think actually there are a lot of people that are quite shut down, and they are not being true humans because they've shut off their feelings. Why? Because they feel uncomfortable when they experience them, right? And they don't like to show them because they're scared of being judged. So reframe. Realize that when you feel things deeply, you are being heartfelt. That is not a bad thing. That is a gift. That gives you full flavor of life. That makes you feel vibrant and alive. That is the way you want to live. You want to feel deeply. You want to love fully. You want to live big. You want to live full potency, and you want to live your full potential. So embrace being heartfelt. That's what I say. And remember the statement that I say, the words people say about you say more about them than you, okay? So remember that. All right, tomorrow on the final installment of the Tears of Truth, I am going to be talking about how tears are a navigational tool, and how they are showing us and steering us to our authentic self and to our purposeful self. So that's really, really exciting, good stuff. I hope you tune in for that, and I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.